Hello there, Commonwealth from here, and dreams seem to come true, at least when it comes to the most reliable Nintendo leaker, Nate the Hate, who is now saying that The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is not getting a remaster, but a proper remake in 2026. And that lines up with what we've heard prior about the Ocarina of Time remake. Nate the Hate is also saying there's no Nintendo Direct by the end of March, and likely not until June. But what is brand new, Joey, is that Ocarina of Time remake is real, and it's confirmed by the most reliable source that isn't Nintendo themselves. The guy who leaked the Nintendo Switch 2 before the reveal, and plenty of Nintendo Directs and games prior.
Like, I was expecting Ocarina of Time remake to be real at some point, but not this soon. I really thought we were going to have to wait a few years until maybe Ocarina of Time's 30th anniversary in a few years, but no, it's apparently happening this year. Hearing it from Nate the Hate, it's hard not to believe him. Part of me also wishes like maybe we could have waited to hear about this in June. It would have been a bigger surprise, but right now I'm just wondering what Nintendo has for the second half of the year, and Ocarina of Time is seemingly their big holiday game instead of a 3D Mario, which is not coming out, according to him, not coming out until next year, which on one hand is kind of a bummer, but Ocarina of Time remake is like the perfect counterpunch to that gut punch of a news that we were not getting a 3D Mario until next year, and also a Star Fox game in the summer, which he also says it's happening. Also really great to hear. I'm just over here feeling vindicated for all our Ocarina of Time remake videos we've been making. They called us madmen, Conrad, but we are not madmen, allegedly.
No, because it's the logical thing to do. We know that Nintendo doesn't have any more 3D Zelda games to remake. They only have 2D games. This is the best solution, and if this is true, that Nintendo is developing the Ocarina of Time remake that is now being also supported by Nate the Hate, who initially was skeptical and thought it was more likely a Miitopia-style remaster of the 3DS versions of Ocarina of Time 3D from 2011, it's clear that this game is going to mean far more than people think. And it's the worthy holiday game for this following reason. It could restart the cycle of 3D Zelda remakes. Not remasters, not 3D versions, but proper remakes. If you do this with Ocarina of Time, and it's a success, then you have the next Hero of Time game, Majora's Mask. But the real potential for them is just returning back to the classics. That just of course means that most likely Twilight Princess will be a GameCube Online edition sometime this year as well. But for us Zelda fans, or Nintendo fans in general, an Ocarina of Time remake as the holiday game is absolutely the best scenario that could happen, because there's no chance of a new top-down Zelda game, because it's too soon after Echoes of Wisdom, and of course the next open-air Zelda game is not going to be out until probably 2029, 2028 at the very, very soonest. I have a feeling that what we have seen of visions from Yianni Papazis, at least when it comes to Hyrule Field and Castle Town, I think we could get closer to that, but I don't think we will go exactly for it, because it's all about keeping the identity, and that goes both for the story but also the visuals of Ocarina, because the Hero of Time look is very, very specific. Even Lego Zelda has been respecting that, as we've seen with the final battle set that came out in the start of March. So what are your expectations, Joey? Do you think it should go the Final Fantasy VII remake route and do its own thing and change the timeline in a greater effect? Because maybe that's our big timeline update for this year.
I don't think that's what we're going to see here with this remake. I think Nintendo's version of remakes are quite conservative. Super Mario RPG, that was technically considered a remake. The visuals were completely overhauled, but by and large it was still the same game, with some additional features in there. But the changes it's going to make are going to matter immensely. Like, I don't think we're going to get any more of those fixed camera angles like in Castle Town. Other than that, like, structurally, it's going to be very much similar to the original Ocarina of Time. You're still going to do things in a specific order. The story is still going to be linear.
Yeah, I think the dual analog camera, because let's be honest, it's the last 3D Zelda game that still has that camera controls, C-stick camera controls, that is not obviously as responsive as dual analog. And in Castle Town, it was just a fixed angle. It's because Castle Town wasn't even 3D rendered properly. What I feel, and I don't want to repeat myself to death based on previous videos, is that yes, I think Castle Town is going to be redone so that what we saw in that map will become the reality. So they will add some new alleyways, they will add the buildings that they didn't have in the original, and that way we will get the dream setup for Castle Town, so that you get a few more side quests, but things that will not really affect the main story. Instead, it will add extra substance to the child section of the game. I think they will also add some new stuff to the adult section, so the second half of the game, and one of those is cut dungeons. I feel like the Light Temple has to happen at this point, because it's now or never, and that way you have a temple for each of the medallions, and everyone is happy. You maintain every great thing that was done in the original, and of course with Master Quest and Ocarina of Time 3D, so like boss rush mode or the boss challenge, and a few tips and tricks for those that are new there, because of course there's possibilities to get lost, improving the whole iron boot selection in the water temple so that it's actually enjoyable. I just feel like they will modernize Ocarina, but they will not turn it open air in the sense that you glide, you climb, but the loading screens will go. So you will have a very seamless experience.
I really think about how like this game is being positioned to be Nintendo's big holiday game, especially alongside the big juggernaut, Grand Theft Auto 6. How is Nintendo going to really compete with that? And I'll tell you why. Nostalgia, baby. Nostalgia sells like crazy. It's why we got remakes of How to Train Your Dragon and Moana. And now that Zelda is an even bigger franchise than it was back when Ocarina of Time came out, there's no other way they can compete this year other than the Ocarina of Time remake. I know there's many cases to be had that 3D Mario might have been better, especially because it's been so long, but maybe because that game's not ready yet. It's why they're deciding to bring out the remake this year. Allegedly, of course, these are still rumors, no matter how reliable Nate the Hate is. It just makes total sense. Like, I know people really wanted a 3D Mario this year, but an Ocarina of Time remake is a guaranteed success, and it will push Switch 2 systems.
And that brings up a very interesting question. What if the first themed Nintendo Switch 2 system is a golden Zelda Ocarina of Time system, just like we saw with the Nintendo 3DS? They are gonna absolutely screw over us Zelda fans of our
Yes, they will.
Like I said, this game is the way you kickstart a whole new generation of Zelda remakes. It's a way of bringing later down the line Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, yes, even Skyward Sword. Let's be honest, Ocarina of Time is the only game, apart from maybe Smash, that could have sold 10 million copies, when both 3D Mario, by all indications from Nate also, is not coming in 2026. And if Smash isn't mentioned here as the holiday game, then Ocarina of Time is the perfect fit, because Pokemon is also not there. So there's nothing really to take away from the release of this game. When it comes to anticipation, nothing of the mentioned games by Nate the Hate can really rival and match a remake of the highest rated Zelda game of all time. I really can't wait until the reveal, most likely in a June Direct, which also means that I'm not sure if the next Zelda game is going to be revealed this year. They probably might save it for next year, 2027.
You know, it's going to be a great tie-in for the movie as well. Like, with Ocarina of Time coming out, they're definitely setting the stage to be like, hey, get hyped for Zelda in the near future, because we got the Ocarina of Time remake, we got the movie coming out, and then maybe while the iron's hot, they say, here's the next game coming out 2028 or 2029. Who's to say? These games take a long time to make.
It's obvious that this is a project that has been going on, and of course we need to stick to what Nate the Hate has now said. He is the leaker with a track record like no other. No matter what, it's Ocarina of Time. I don't give a damn about it. I'm just happy it's the credible source, and which means that we can pretty much start the coverage and visualize what this game can be, because it's coming before the next Zelda game, which is something that, and even before the next top-down Zelda game, which means that we get our Dream 1, then followed by Dream 2, and finally Dream 3, so we get a complete Triforce, which is all I need as a Zelda fan, is to show that they care about traditional 3D Zelda, they care about top-down Zelda, and they care about open-air Zelda, which they obviously do because of the sales numbers. Another thing that could happen from this, if those sales numbers really show up, is that the team that is making the Ocarina of Time remake for Nintendo Switch 2 will get to make possibly the Missing Hero of Time game in a traditional style. So a new 3D Zelda game in the traditional style alongside the new top-down games and the new open-air games. And then we have what I've been arguing for since the 30th anniversary about the missing Hero of Time game in 2021. And I think that in many ways is a good point to really end this, because there isn't much more to share right now, but yeah, the potential is there, the excitement is there, and we have a credible source. The only thing that really we can do apart from speculating until a general Nintendo Direct, because that's the thing about 3D Zelda, whether it's a remake, remaster, or a new game, they only get revealed in Nintendo Directs, usually the June Direct. Well, with remakes and remasters, they can happen in February as well, and before, or even late year, as we saw with Majora's Mask in 2015. But since I think they're treating this as the big holiday game, it's likely going to be a June Direct reveal, and then maybe exactly 1 year after that, we get the reveal of the next open-air Zelda game. Anyways, thank you so much for joining, Joey, and a big thanks to you for watching. Please share your thoughts about Ocarina of Time Remake and whether we're getting this revealed and release in 2026, so by the end of this calendar year, not the end of the fiscal year that we're entering. To not miss any of these upcoming videos, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and press that notification bell. Last but not least, a big thanks to all our patreon.com/CommonRound patrons, and in particular our heroes, Cheryl, Garrett Hoy, Holly Wolf, and Kintar. You rock, and please enjoy these awesome videos.